Taking over Jason's job. I'm taking over everyone's job, by the way.
What? Basically.
All right, what we got here?
Whenever you're ready.
Yeah. All right. So you thought that that presentation we had first about esoteric JavaScript was interesting. Wait till you see this. Mining crypto with a virus tunnel, and somehow it's all intended behavior. So before we get started, dear RIT, everything I did was for education. I did not actually profit at all, because, I mean, even as well as it worked, it did not work well enough to profit. Okay, story time. I was messing around with another project of mine, and I uploaded a payload to VirusTotal because I needed to check if it was detected. I waited a few minutes, and then I got a reverse connection from VirusTotal's sandbox, which only lasted for about a minute before it disconnected after finishing. And then I got more connections from VirusTotal's peers. And they're from Russia and Korea and all these different places. And I thought, wait a minute, I can abuse this. So yeah, VirusTotal and its peers don't only use the databases provided by the antivirus solutions that they're using, they also do dynamic testing if they haven't seen the payload before. So dynamic analysis is basically taking a piece of malware and looking at what it does by running it on a safe box, wherever. Quite often they'll recommend you you do that in a sandbox, in an air-gapped environment. But sometimes you don't see all the behavior of the malware if you don't. So you kind of have to if you want the full picture. So the benefit of, I mean, normally if it's only going to be on a VM for like a minute, you're not going to really get anything. Most of them have like honeypot passwords, but they don't mean anything. But there is real value in getting about a minute's worth of crypto mining. So I made a payload. I attached a miner to it. I sent it out to some friends. We ran into a few issues. But eventually we got it around to working. This also tipped me off that maybe I should have written a dropper, and in the end I did end up figuring that out. But in the meantime, I just had them upload this by temporarily disabling Defender or whatever. It ended up working out. I had a bunch of different payloads that I sent to them, and I got a reverse connection back from them. And it was running XMRig and mining for me. It worked. And I mean, it didn't really work. But it worked. And that was the end, like Thursday afternoon. And then we get to today, because late last night and this morning I made more progress, because this is a very recent and rushed project. I was having a lot of trouble with Dogecoin, but I wanted initially to do this in Dogecoin. And I only ended up doing it in Monero because I already know how to do Monero, and Dogecoin for 2 different pools was not working. But I finally got it working, and it's ridiculously non-profitable. There's nothing you can do with this. Like, Monero is at $150. This is at like 6-7 cents. But no, you can see the progress here because you see all those different yeses in the command prompt. So you know that it is definitely mining, whereas with Monero, it takes a lot longer for it to actually solve something, which means most of my connections that showed the XMRig pop-up weren't actually getting anything, and I would just get a lot more profit when it did get one of like the 4 shares that I managed to mine. And then I thought, can I bot this? So VirusTotal has a CAPTCHA. And depending on how you navigate the GUIs, you might have to run it a few times. But I figured out there's a way to navigate the GUI such that you only have to do it once. Now, I'm not gonna pay children in a third world country to do my captchas for me, so I would end up doing that CAPTCHA at the very beginning. But after that, I mean, I figured out I could run approximately 5 at a time if I were going really fast. I would get 5 connections per. And if each connection is roughly 10 kilohashes per second, then I'm getting 50 just from uploading. It also, if the payloads kept going and they kept spreading, VirusTotal would give the payload to its peers, who would also automatically run it. And I have not, since I only did this morning, I have not really gotten a chance to see what that would look like in terms of a efficiency standpoint. But I have seen that the peers have run it, and the mining ID has reappeared on the page. So yeah, there are improvements that could definitely be done. Again, this was pretty rushed. That 5 number, that was bottlenecked primarily by compile time, because I, like, in slight reference to Emmanuel's presentation, I was using a packer, and I would have to make a change. In order to get the signature different, I would have to make a change to the malware each time, and I would do that with mining ID, but that's Bitcoin stuff. But in doing that, I would have to recompile it every time, and that takes time. And you need to do this fast. So one thing I considered is getting rid of the reverse connection bit and only doing the payload. And I did work a little bit with that. I had a batch script that I was running that would call xmrig and then ping me, and I kept a Wireshark up with ICMP filtered so I could see who was pinging me. And then I tried a dropper, and I was looking around. I didn't do too much testing, but I used bitsadmin, which, so far as I could tell from my little bit of research, was not very common in malware. So I was hoping it wouldn't get picked up. Turns out it is incredibly slow. But like, if I were actually deploying it, it wouldn't matter. It's just I only have a minute of time on these boxes, so it's overall less efficient. But yeah, definitely more work to do if I do any of this. Yeah, and that's per computer. So that 5 number is great. That's per time I'm uploading. So instead of using my CPU, which has 12 cores and can mine at approximately 50 to 100 kilohashes, instead of using that to mine, if I use that and got some more RAM and set up a bunch of VMs and had them all running VirusTotal uploaders, I could get 600 kilohashes per second. and if I used like my laptop and got a couple more VMs, I could go even higher. This is scalable a little bit. Yep, VirusTotal upload cloud VMs. But we should still put this in scale real quick. John, I was just talking to, it has a mining setup with I'm pretty sure he's getting roughly 100 mega hashes. This is 0.6 mega hashes, and he's making 50 cents an hour, so this is nothing. But again, humorous. So even though this was a stupid presentation, I did learn a whole bunch. I got to see how payloads on VirusTotal go around and see all their different peers and see all the honeypots associated with those peers, because you'll get this VM connection and it'll be a user, and the user could be a random string, or it could be like an engineered name. And then you'll get all these files like passwords.txt, secrets.txt, and all these other things that either someone connecting back would want to open, or potentially a malware would want to automatically find and download. So it's really interesting to see how these sandboxes are set up. I did find that the VMs have terrible stats. They have 2 gigs of RAM, no CPU power, just probably to thwart dumbasses like me, but also probably to save resources. Part of this was also just, again, for another project. I was trying out different malware creation tools, and I would like to get better at learning how those things work, extend the functionality of some of them I've been using, hopefully get the detection down further on VirusTotal. Even my batch file that I wrote still got detected 2 out of 30-something on VirusTotal, and that's just a dropper. So what didn't I learn? Well, actually, this morning I learned one of the things that I didn't learn, which is I managed to get the Dogecoin script miner working. But that was really hard. There were like 2 different pools that I tried where I was just not getting any hits. And then also, I think it might be a software problem, but the Dogecoin wallet that they provide you does not behave. So I ended up using an online one. So why did I do this, you might ask? It's funny. Thank you. Questions? We good? We good.
I know. Question. Good press. Good press.
That is funny.
So that was today's present.